Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. And today I have our amazing speaker, Steve Watts, MD of Abstract AVR Limited. So before Steve, first of all, welcome to the channel today. So before I hand it over to you to share more about you and your journey, just a brief I want to share about Abstract AVR with our viewers.
Wow.
It is UK's leading architectural, entertainment, and bespoke LED lighting with over like 25 years of experience.
30, yeah.
33
33.
now. Yes. I got it. I remember you and I were having a discussion, but I read it somewhere 25. So well done, you, 33 years. So how has been the journey so far?
Right. So Abstract AVR is a company that has really survived many decades, really, 33 years in business. I call her a beautiful swan. And the reason being because on a calm sea, she can be, a beautiful swan. But when difficult times, then she turns herself into a battleship.
Love that.
Because in business, that's what it is. Business is really many people say to me, what is it like to be in business? And I say, well, look, you've got to enjoy doing what you're doing. That is number one, because if you don't enjoy it, you really need to get out immediately. Because I don't think I've worked a day's work in my entire life, because everything that I do is something I feel incredibly passionate about. And I'm trying to change people's lives with what we do. Make products accessible to people that potentially wouldn't be accessible for price wise, or all of those things. And it's really super important that you love it. But reality of business is kind of like waves. You stand by the sea and you see the wave come in, and you see small waves, and every now and again you see a big wave, and it's small waves followed by big waves, right? And in business terms, that is problem, crisis. Problem, crisis. And that's kind of like how a business goes, in reality. It's lots of small problems followed by the occasional crisis. And many people are either in business or either in the middle of a crisis, just coming out of a crisis, or just about to go into one. And as much as that sounds to you, that's like, it's not necessarily inspirational. However, in order to get inspiration, you have to have truth. All right. And business needs truth. And so Abstract has indeed been a company that invests in its people. Number one, fundamentally, people is the most important investment that you have to make outside of machinery. Clearly, if you're a manufacturer like I am, we have to have machinery, but people are really, really vital. And I often I hire slowly. If I want to take somebody on, I take them on really slowly. I'll give them I'll say to them, look, this is a 3-month test period, of which at the end of the 3 months, you can leave, or I can say that this is not working out. You can say this is not working out. Because you get a true representation of whether the person that's joining your business is a sort of person you want on your team.
Absolutely. Yeah. So true.
It is. And if you sort of think of the costs of business now, they're rising and rising and rising. The cost of people is rising and rising. So it's a really difficult balance in today's world to, employing people now is expensive. As much as you don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. Yeah. And you've got to make sure that everybody that works within your organization is adding value to the organization. That is critical. My advice to anybody in any level of business, when you have people, is you ask yourself a question. Is that person, if I was to re-employ that person again today, would I do that? Yes or no? The answer to that is no. Then unfortunately, you need to get out of that situation as fast as possible, because the quality of people you want in your organization is super high.
Absolutely.
You've got to quality all the way, not quantity, quality. Right? And the other thing that I think that drives abstract more, probably more so than anything, is it's constant drive for excellence.
Mm.
You know, it's the one of the fundamental aspects of our business is to go for excellence. You know, can we beat ourselves? Because if we can't, if we don't beat ourselves on a regular basis, our competition is going to.
Mm.
Yeah. So every 2 to 3 months, you've got to beat yourself. You've got to make yourself redundant,
Mm.
as daft as that sounds.
Mm.
And if you do that, your business will thrive, and you'll
Because there's an
continue to,
opportunity there.
yeah, you'll continue to thrive. And it's that striving constantly for excellence is, I don't think I can say that enough, how important that is.
Mm. I think it's also the fact that, you once you start moving out of your comfort zone because you're driving for excellence, and that is where the performance happens. Otherwise, it's like you'd keep doing the
Of
same
course.
thing in your
Yeah.
comfort zone, and then of course
Let's take a
it's
let's take
not
an
there.
example. I mean, people do often, when we're in conversation with other business people that are in, many businesses are struggling.
Mm.
That is the truth. Many businesses are struggling. There's
Mm.
success stories, but for every one success story, there's probably 100 that are not so successful.
Exactly.
And they'll say to me, "Well, what's wrong with my business?" And I take them and look in the eye and I say, you are the problem in your own business. Well, why? I said, because you have to be responsible for it. You have to be responsible for everything.
Mm.
If you have a business that changes tires and you go, oh, the guy that's changing the tires, no good. That's why we're losing business. Well, get rid of it.
Mm. And
Because
yeah, exactly. When you said hire
what
slowly,
are you doing? You've
yeah,
answered your own question.
exactly. Uh,
Get
when
somebody that is good at doing tires.
yeah, that is so true. When you said hire slowly, and I was thinking, so to complete that, from our point of view,
Yeah.
when we speak to business owners, and team and people is the absolute key for any business success. So we always believe in hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah. 100%, Anais, 100%. And you have to get yourself into a mindset. If you do the same thing day in and day out and expect a different result,
No,
that
that's
is
not
that's
gonna happen.
insanity. That's
Yeah.
insanity, right?
Yeah.
So in order to become something different, you've got to do something
Something
different.
different. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's really quite difficult because a business mind will always sort of stay into the bitter end. But
Mm.
that's what it is sometimes, the bitter end, right? So if you actually listen to the words that you speak, and when you say, oh, anything negative that you speak about your business, is your subconscious mind is telling you to change it, but you're not listening, right?
Mm.
And that is what all business men and women really need to do on a monthly basis, is actually just take the time out, go and sit in the middle of a field somewhere where there's no distraction, because distractions will kill your business. You
Absolutely.
know, all this internet, all the people that are putting stuff online, businesses spending loads of time putting stuff on Facebook, you're just wasting your time. It's all distraction, 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 distraction. Pick up the phone, speak to the owner of the business, and
Mm.
ask them a simple question: what can my business do for your business that will add value to your business? What can I do to help you?
Mm.
This is so simple,
Mm.
but people make it too complicated. They think, oh, I've got 1,000 likes. Great. 1,000 likes is irrelevant
Mm.
because you can't eat a like. Do you see what I mean? And so all this distraction in today's world is it's making businesses less profitable because they're spending the time on stuff that is irrelevant,
Mm.
totally irrelevant. The number one relevance to everything is, let's take McDonald's for an example, right? This is a perfect situation where you've got momentum in the business because people are coming in or they're going through the drive-through. So the staff have no alternative but to work.
Yeah.
So there's a natural conveyor belt of momentum, right? There's number one. Number two, the performance led. That's where you have the little stars on them. Yeah, so they do better, they get another star.
Yeah,
Yeah, as silly
exactly.
as it sounds, but it is recognition for somebody doing well, right?
Mm,
Pricing, they get the price as close to perfection as is possible.
mm,
And you may turn around and say, well, why does McDonald's need to advertise when they've got as many customers as they have? Well, it's because it's the curve. There's a curve. And what you put in at the beginning, success you must pay for up front, right? You don't, success is not something you can buy. It's not something that you can obtain any other way.
mm,
That success is something you attract.
mm,
You attract through excellence, and
mm,
excellence has a cost. And all this you must pay up front, right? You must pay everything up front for you to become successful. It's just the way it is.
mm.
And McDonald's, they will constantly advertise to keep themselves at the top of the curve, because
Absolutely.
that curve is exponential and it takes so long to get to the top that they have to stay there
Mm,
constantly. Because
mm,
once you drop off the curve, then
mm.
it gets exponential the other direction, and then
Exactly.
it takes forever to rebuild your business back up again. So if
Exactly.
you let your business start to slip
Mm,
in any area, you're in trouble,
mm,
because every consequence has an action.
mm.
Does that make any level of sense?
Exactly.
Everything
Exactly.
matters in business. Everything matters.
Mm, mm. You know what? I'm curious to know your view, Steve. When I speak to business owners, and uh, the way you mentioned about the problem, and then there's a crisis, the waves coming in. Yeah. So
Yeah,
business is full of challenges, but most of the challenges when we hear, they fall in either of the three categories. It is
yeah,
time, probably not having enough hours in a day, um, team, what we
yeah.
was talking about, the people, right people on the right seat, or the third is the money aspect of the business, which is the growth, more turnover, more profitability, the pricing comes there. What do you see as a current challenge?
I mean, yeah, Nate, that's a really interesting question, because I like the way that you use the word challenge
Mm,
over problem.
mm,
Yeah. Because challenge problems, crisis problems, they're there in every single day life.
yeah.
But I like to not see that as a problem, but as a challenge where
Mm,
we need to find a solution. Yeah.
mm,
And if you approach everything in your day, what you have to do is use the 80-20 rule. I mean, maybe a lot of people have probably heard of the 80-20 rule.
absolutely. Pareto.
Where, yeah, but it basically, if you take a look of the challenges of the day, okay, you're most wise to start on the worst challenge first, the
Mm,
one that's going to, because many people are very busy, but they're busy doing all the wrong things that are not going to get
mm,
them anywhere.
mm,
Yeah. So you've got to look at it and go, right, that is the challenge that I really don't want to deal with. It
mm,
may be an employee issue, okay?
mm,
You've got to deal with it, because if you don't deal with it, it just goes on and on and on and on and
mm,
on. The problem gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
mm,
So first thing in the morning, between 9 and 11, for me, that's the point where I look at the issues and the
mm,
challenges and
mm,
go after them first.
mm,
So that's what I want. That's what I want to take that out first
mm,
within the day, right? Then
mm,
everything after that becomes easier,
mm,
doesn't it? And if you do that, and you have to be strict. It's all about being strict on yourself. If you're strict on
mm,
yourself, discipline
mm,
will, without a doubt, make your business survive and thrive as
mm,
a result. Right?
mm,
And you can really easily answer your own questions if you think of the experiences that you have
mm,
with other businesses,
mm,
and you see the ones that you like and you see the ones that you don't like. Well, you should model yourself after the ones you do like, because
mm,
success success leaves tracks.
mm,
Yeah. So
mm.
if you want to be successful, read what successful people read.
Yeah, exactly.
Do what successful people do.
Mm,
Walk like successful people walk.
mm,
Handshake like successful people handshake.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So,
Because it leaves tracks, and that's the reality.
mm, that is very interesting. So, but coming back to the fact, out of these, do you see the daily challenges you're facing? in abstract? Is it a mix of all the three categories, or is this any
Yeah,
specific
oh yeah. I mean,
more?
it's a constant mix, because let's say, for example, let's just take employees, because employees is a big one on every business, isn't it? Because every business, in the main anyway, has lots of
Mm,
employees. Okay.
mm,
My before I kind of like, I'm 60 this year, so I've got kind of a few years behind me in the experience level. I've saved my business 5 times that I know of, yeah. And I used to have a saying, and I used to people say to me, "Oh, how many people work for you?" And I used to say half of them.
mm. Okay.
Because most people will take their private life into business. Okay.
Mm,
So what I did for a little while is I thought, you know what, I'm going to deal with this, because I'm fed up with coming around the corner and hearing people about the holidays that have just happened when I'm paying them to work, right?
yeah.
Let's look at the realities here.
Yes,
We're paying
absolutely.
people to work, right? Now, if they're not working, well, that's not good, is it? That's not great, right? So I then decided that what I'd do is I'd go around their houses on a Saturday and start talking business.
Mm.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, things started to change, because they didn't want me showing up on a Saturday or Sunday.
I love that approach. You
Talking
really did
business.
that?
Yeah, too right. Because
Oh,
it's how else do you deal with it? How else do you sort it out? It's
mm,
the only way anyone's going to relate to it. You show up when they want to go out on a Friday night and want to start talking business, you're going to get their attention. That
yeah.
the wife's going to be pulling on them, trying to get rid of me. Yeah. And so then on the Monday morning, I say, right, well, what I did to you on Sunday is what you're doing to me every day. So pack it up. Yeah. Go and ruin somebody else's career, not mine. Yeah. Because and then I've installed into people, don't talk rubbish, because all you're doing is ruining each other's careers.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be serious. In business, you have to be serious.
Mm,
Okay. Sure, you can have a bit of fun along the way by celebrating
mm,
the achievements that you have done
mm,
or completed, but not in reverse, standing by the water cooler talking about what's happening at the weekend. Yeah.
mm.
All
That
of
is,
this is in the very best light is
mm,
annoying.
mm.
In very, very worst light, it's almost it's almost stealing time, isn't it?
Mm.
Do you see that? If you look at it
Yeah.
in the actual reality,
And
your
and
parents.
then when they are in that position, then they can actually see how, as a business owner, you feel every day when during
Correct.
working hours it's not happening. But I love that approach. I think that's
Yeah,
a
and
fun to
the,
go.
the thing the thing is, in reality, is that most business owners do not work 37.5 hours a week. Okay. Most business owners work 60 hours a week,
Mm,
70 hours a week. They never stop. On a Saturday or a Sunday, they're probably talking to their partners about the bad things that have happened within their business and how
mm,
they're going to try and resolve them and all
mm.
of those things. Living with a business person is not easy. Ask my partner. She'll tell you it's not great fun.
So
Yeah, because
how did you balance your personal and business life?
how did I what? Sorry.
Sorry, how did you balance your personal and business life?
Ooh, you know what? Not very well.
You
Um,
know what? It was
I
lovely
think
to have you
I think
fun
it's
and
because I'm 100% business. Okay. Um, my duty to myself is to succeed in and follow the lines of the passion that I have. And as I've got older, I've got a little bit wiser, and I now talk to my partner about these things. And we have I don't work Fridays now.
Mm,
So
that's good.
Fridays we call it hand holding day, yeah. And
Mhm.
so we spend time together and we go and do nice things together on Fridays. So
Love
it's
that.
almost like date day, yeah, if that
Love
makes sense.
that. Love that.
So I've managed to do that and sort of like try now not to allow business to affect Saturdays and Sundays too much.
Mm.
But I genuinely and honestly cannot remember ever having a family holiday where the business has not, in one way or another, wrecked it.
And you know what, Steve, I've heard this so many times, as a coach.
I remember once I'd only been there 2 days because it takes a business person 2 days to get in the zone because you're not in the zone initially. It takes you a couple of days to get in the zone. And I remember sitting on the beach, and my youngest son at the time, who was only probably about 4 or 5, and I've just gone and bought him an ice cream. He's sitting there licking on his ice cream. I was just about to open a beer on the beach, and phone rings. There's the problem,
Yeah,
crisis.
yeah,
And so there I am, firefighting, so to speak, on the beach, yeah, in pathos, yeah, having to resolve the
wow,
issues.
wow.
I've come back off holidays many times, like a day early, because I've got to deal with something, or yeah, that's business life. But don't get in the kitchen if you can't handle the flames.
But you know what, Steve? I personally feel this is true reality, what you're sharing. And I have heard this. I can't tell you
Yeah,
how many times. And
yeah,
when we start working with business owners, there are a couple of them who haven't gone for a holiday in years because
yeah,
for them, holiday would mean working from there because the problem and the crisis come. And then
yeah,
that becomes a personal goal, and we put that goal. Of course, it doesn't happen in a day. Things do not change. It takes
yeah,
time, putting the systems in place, getting everything in track, because business has to work without you, and it is meant to give more life. Otherwise, it's as good as a job because at least you get a fixed salary and you sleep without
yeah,
worrying
yeah.
about the payment of the bills and the other stuff. So I personally believe that business is meant to give you more life, and it should give you more financial freedom.
Well, it did. I mean, if I go back in the history, my 33 years history, I think after Abstract had been in business for sort of 10 years,
Mm,
we'd hit a beautiful place. I'd
yeah.
got 78 employees. The business was thriving incredibly well.
Mm,
Um, things were sensible when it came to things like taxation and all those sort of stuff. You could own a company car without it being a trauma. Yeah.
mm,
Costs were relevant. Investment could be made
mm,
relatively easily into your business, where you could go and borrow money
mm,
with knowing that you have a pretty good chance of paying it back.
absolutely. Mm,
Yeah. I think in today's business age, I don't, whether I'm doing something wrong, which I doubt, but I'm open for suggestions. But I feel that in today's business climate, it's not an easy thing. It's definitely not an easy thing. And any business owner that says it's easy now it's only because they've just not hit the problem crisis yet. Yeah.
mm, mm,
And it's coming, believe me, it's definitely 100% coming. It's just a case of when. Yeah.
mm,
The amount of sort of liquid money that is left within businesses
mm,
now is being reduced and eroded on a dramatic scale. Okay,
mm,
so you've got your profits here,
mm,
you've got your costs here, and the bit in the middle, or you've got your costs, and that profit in the middle is being eroded, and it's going like this and like this. It's squeezing,
mm,
squeezing, squeezing,
mm,
squeezing. Yeah,
mm,
because your overheads and all the rest of it are just getting higher and higher and higher. If you look
margin
at fuel,
increasing. Yeah.
look at fuel was 70p. Now it's a litre. Now it's like £1.40. Yeah. So if you've got a business that's delivering parts here, there, and everywhere, that's doubled your costs in
Double.
3
Yeah,
years.
exactly. Exactly.
Insurances going up,
Mm,
car, or everything
everything.
up. Staff
Absolutely.
costs up. And it's not, most businesses, they struggle to turn around and go, right, well, I'm charging X. I'm now going to add 30% on top of that because they have this fear factor that the competitors will take their customer.
Mm.
Yeah. So then it makes the situation even worse, right? Um, so you're constantly balancing between how do I make additional profit to
Mm.
cover the additional overheads that we're now being forced to pay? Yeah. And
Mm.
how do we do it? And I would suggest that, and this is only me, I might be a million miles wrong, but again, I doubt it. Um, most businesses will look first of all, is right, what member of staff can I get rid of to reduce my cost?
And
That's what they're going to
yeah,
in the
and
main,
when the goal
because
is to
it's
reduce the
the
cost,
most expensive part of the business. The most
I
expensive
understand.
part
Mm.
is people that walk in on two legs,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So they're the highest value to a level if you've got it right and everybody's on board. Yeah. And this is what's happening in business now. This is where the measures are being forced in the wrong direction. I believe it should go the other way. I think it should be you should be have businesses should have huge additional assistance with employing people,
Mm.
because employing people is a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to employ more people. I'd have
Mm.
twice as many people if I
Mm.
could. Yeah. But you know, I don't feel confident to employ people now at the moment because I don't know where the next cost is coming from, because
Absolutely.
it's endless. It's endless. Yeah.
Mm. Absolutely.
As opposed to
Absolutely.
constantly pushing out, which is what you've got to be risking. I mean, in business, risk. Yeah. That's
Mm.
what it's all about. Risk v reward. But at my age now, at 60, you know, I should be saying to myself, yeah, damn it, let's not worry about it. Let's go for another 10 years.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's
Mm.
let's employ a load more people, and
Mm.
let's push on and leave a legacy that is as big as possible behind me, right? For other people to continue, so that
Mm.
abstract not becomes 33 years old, but becomes 66 years old.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Which brings me to my next question. What is the vision for Abstract? What's in it in the next 5 years?
Well, okay, so last year, in August, we had an event at one of our factories which changed the face of abstract for a little while. And it's taken us 6 months to overcome the issues there. But we've dealt with it, and we're now back to our former selves. And our new facility is better, more streamlined, more efficient, all of those things. And so I think for abstract, it's now a return to our core values, and
Mm.
those core values are, what can we do at the most cost-effective price and
Mm.
make it accessible to as many people as possible?
Mhm.
You know, and that's our core value. That's something we've always had. Unfortunately, the last 6 months have been very difficult for us. But we've um, and so now we will now focus again on growing the business, taking that core value of pure excellence,
Mm.
accessibility.
Mm.
You know, we're not one of those companies, by the way, where you know you can call us and you can ring us and we'll talk to you. We're not one of these people where it says, sorry, you have to send us an email and everything's done online.
Mm. I
We
understand.
don't we don't work like that.
Mhm.
We're a little bit, we have the older traditions really. And the younger guys and stuff and girls in our place, they like to do things a bit more in that newer way.
Oh,
But I
yeah,
do still say, you know, and it's pretty mandatory within our business that you must call your customers
absolutely.
at least once a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just to
I
say hello.
agree with that. Yeah, because the written I mean, it's always better to have that phone conversation rather than that written
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
So that is so good. Um, see, you just mentioned about it's been 33 years. You
Yeah.
are almost at that age, you've lived this whole entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to your younger self? If you had to start everything from scratch, what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I've often thought about it, but I think that the question I would, the advice I would give to my younger self is take more risks when you, yeah, because when you're young, you've got all the health on your side, haven't you? You know, it's like once you start getting older, you know, slowly but surely you start falling apart, I'm sure. Yeah. You know, I've now hit that age now where, you know, you need your glasses, don't you, to
Come
read
on, you
anything.
look so young, Steve.
All these things are starting to annoy me. But no, my younger self, I would say, look, take more calculated risks when you can, when you're young. Um, you know, earn as much as you can when you're young, right? Drive around in the Ferraris when you're young, right? Because when you're old, you don't look as good in them, do you? So you should definitely, you know, the problem with the UK, I believe, is it doesn't really rejoice in success. You know, it doesn't, and it's fundamentally wrong. You know, we should have a much better, much better acceptance of people that are doing well, right? I remember once in my lifetime, I owned a Ferrari once. I owned it for about 3 or 4 months, and I had to sell it because people perceived you in such a terribly bad way. You know, and you make a small driving error and people are on you immediately. Yeah. Now, if you drive around in Mercedes, it's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And that seems okay, right? But
Yeah.
so it really is a balance. But here in the UK, definitely success is not something that is rejoiced as much as it should be.
With materialistic things, I believe.
Yeah, I think you've just got to, you know, the whole purpose, isn't it? Surely, you know, if I was to finish this podcast off, right, I'll put it in one way. When you start in business, surely you're doing it to become successful. Because if you're not, then why? What the hell are you doing it for? You may as well go and work for somebody, right? So you obviously want to be entrepreneurial. You want to be free, because that's the benefit of being in business. You can be to a level free, right? Do what you want, but you want to be successful. Yeah. So when I was 20, my vision of abstract is I was going to have a yacht that had abstract on it
Love that.
and sail around the Mediterranean. Do you see what I mean? That was my
Yeah.
dreams and
And that, that
aspiration.
that that is like a fire in the belly, and it's so
It is.
motivating to do that. It
It is.
creates
Now,
a
whether
huge
you achieve
passion.
that or not is irrelevant, but that's what you should be aiming for
Yeah,
and fighting for. You should be shooting for the stars, aren't you? And hopefully reach the moon, right?
exactly.
But, you know, so business must not be about, you know, grind. It can't be about that. It has to be about inspiration and creating something fantastic for other people to enjoy. Because if you do that, I think you'll be highly successful. That's my theory.
I love that, Steve. You have summarized it so well, and each and every word you said, and I absolutely 100% agree with what you just said. Because if the
Yeah.
goal as a business owner, if the goal is to pay the bills, guess what you will end up? You will end up in just paying the bills. But the
That's what
goal,
that's what's going to happen.
yeah, the goal has
And,
to
and there's a lot of
be,
them.
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of them. And I remember having this conversation yesterday with someone, exact same conversation that, the first thing is to dream big. And if you're not dreaming big, then how would we work towards it?
Yeah, and I think that what you need to do, and something that I've taken inspiration and done all of my life, you need to keep a journal, and you need to write in that every single day. You need to read a lot of books, because if you want the high level items, you've got to climb on the books to get them.
Absolutely.
Reading books will
A
save
lot
you
of them.
so much time.
Yeah.
You can't learn everything in a lifetime. It's not possible. Your lifetime is very, very short in reality, right? So, read the Richard Bransons, read the Elon Musks, read all these people that have done great things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Copy what successful people do.
Mm.
If you've got two friends and one's really positive and doing great, well, talk to them. Yeah. If you've got one friend that is really, down and out and you know, do silly things constantly, well, then talk to them about lifting their lives up,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
because you are who you associate with.
Yeah,
You know,
you are a
birds of
product
a
of
feather, that's,
5 people you meet and the 5 books you
yeah,
read.
yeah, birds of a feather flock together, right?
Yeah,
So if you want to be successful, then you've got to flock around successful people. And
absolutely.
if you're a brand new entrepreneur and you're listening to this podcast and you think, well, how do I get started? Well, easy. Go and find somebody that's super successful that you can get access to. Take them out for dinner, pay for it, yeah, and keep them talking. So I guess, and the other thing, Inez, is you know, business is like, it is hard, right? But let's take a look at that word hard. If you're like working for somebody and you're earning X amount per year, let's say 20,000 a year, and you need 25,000 a year to live, which probably most people do, then you down 5,000 each year minus, right?
Mm,
So that's hard, isn't it?
mm,
That's really hard.
mm,
If you run your own business, that's also hard. So really, Inez, it's a case of you got to choose your hard.
mm, mm. It's a matter of choices, you know. A life is a matter of choices we make.
You got to choose your hard, right? Because life's hard anyway, isn't
Exactly.
it? You know,
Exactly.
and the other final thing before I leave this podcast is, look, if you're just starting in business and I say to you, look, it's going to take you 7 years
Mm,
to have any level of success,
mm,
right? Most people are going to then think 7 years, 7 years, but those 7 years are going to pass anyway.
mm,
So in 7 years, you can either still be where you are now
mm,
or you can be successful. The choice is yours, right?
mm,
Because those 7 years are going to pass anyway.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You may as well build, you may as well build, 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 because everything you put in has to be, like I said before, everything has to be paid up front. Yeah. And if you work 37 and a half hours a week, you're working for survival.
Mm,
Everything over and above that, you're working towards success. Every hour over 37 and a half hours a week is invested in yourself, right?
mm,
You need to work as hard on yourself as
mm.
you do on your job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you do
When you
that,
start, yeah, I think when you start working on yourself, there is an exponential growth.
yeah. Because when, let's say, for example, you make your first in business, you make your first million. Let's just pretend you make your first million, right? That's not actually the important part. Yeah. Because it's not making the million that's important. It's who you've become to make the million that's important. Because you could give it all away and go and make it again.
Mm,
You know, they say in reality that, let's say that there's 30 families in the world that have most of the money, right? If they was to redistribute that all the way around the world and give everybody, 10,000 each, within 10 years, it will all end up back in the same hands again.
because they
Because
know how to lead.
it's because who they've become.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. So you need to look at yourself and say, right, who do I want to become? Yeah. And I think that's why abstract has survived over 33 years, because every time we've hit a crisis, it's not about the money, because we can recreate that again.
Mm,
Do you see what I mean?
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that, I think that is the most important part
Mm,
of it. It's who you become as a person.
mm,
I think that is what I would say to my younger self.
mm,
Yeah. Work on yourself. I wish I'd worked on myself in my 20s like I've worked on myself in my 50s. I
mm,
really do. That is probably one of my biggest regrets, is I should have worked way harder on myself when I in my 20s than I
mm,
did.
mm.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's just come to me now. When you ask me that question, what would you say to your youngest self? And I think that's what it is. I should have worked harder on myself and not on my job.
Mm, mm. absolutely agree with you. And this is what I believe and preach. And I follow that. I follow that
Great.
principle. As coaches, you won't believe, we have our own coaches as well.
Yeah,
We have to
that's lovely.
spend time on our own learning.
Yeah, 100%.
We believe in congruency. Love that, Steve. I can't tell you, it was so wonderful to speak to you, and I don't know where the time has just vanished. Speaking to you, I guess we could go for hours and hours here, but it was lovely speaking to you. Thank you for joining us, Steve.
You're more than welcome, Anais, and it's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.